Hi, welcome back to Win the Day. My name's Jacob Wirka, and I hope you'll join me today as we do a quick overview of the book of Philemon. Growing up, me and my older brother fought all the time. Sometimes things got pretty ugly. I can remember one specific instance where both me and my brother were so mad at each other for such a long time that I couldn't even tell you what we had been fighting about. It even got to the point where we started to beat each other up. But finally, after throwing a few punches, my brother looked at me, laughed, and called me by my nickname, which I won't share here. But at that moment, I knew that the fighting was over and everything was going to be okay. Now, this idea of relationships being restored is what we call reconciliation. A reconciliation is what the book of Philemon is all about. Christians should read this book of Philemon because in it we can learn important lessons about how the gospel transforms relationships and goes above and beyond our social status or our culture here on earth. In Philemon, we can learn how to treat someone who's sinned against us and how we can find unity in the cross. So here's a quick summary of this book. The Apostle Paul is writing a letter from prison in Rome to one of his dear Christian friends, Philemon. Now, Philemon was a pretty wealthy man, and in his culture, he even owned bondservants, or maybe even we would call them slaves. Now, one of his bondservants, named Onesimus, had run away and come to find the Apostle Paul. Paul discipled him, and he became a Christian. But then Paul knew that he had to send Onesimus back to his master, Philemon. Now, in this letter, Paul urges Philemon to welcome back Onesimus not as a slave, but as an equal brother. This book was written around 62 AD. Now, some notable people that we find in the book would be Philemon himself, the author Paul, and the bondservant Onesimus. The heart of this letter is found in verses 15 through 18, which says, "For this perhaps is why he departed from you for a while, that you might have him back forever, no longer as a bondservant, but more than a bondservant, as a beloved brother, especially to me, but how much more to you, both in the flesh and in the Lord. So if you consider me your partner, receive him as you would receive me. If he has wronged you at all, or owes you anything, charge that to my account." Now think for a second just how radical this is. Paul is asking a slave master to welcome back a runaway slave as an equal brother. Now, this idea would have been totally countercultural in ancient Rome. In this, we can see a beautiful picture of the gospel. Remember that Jesus gave his life for our sins, to reconcile our relationship with God, to bring us back in relationship with him forever. Paul is saying that under the cross of Jesus, we are all equals. Paul says that if Onesimus has wronged him in any way, to charge it to Paul's own account. Again, here we see the gospel as the judgment that we deserved on our sins was placed onto Jesus. Jesus took our punishment on his account and gives us his perfection. So here's the key takeaway from this book of Philemon. The gospel changes everything. If we truly believe and embrace the gospel, then it should transform every relationship that we have here on earth. Because our relationship with God has been restored. And now we can find unity in all relationships, especially with fellow believers here on earth. No matter our social status in this world, spiritually, we are all equal under the cross. So here's my challenge for you today. As we look at the world all around us that wants to find disunity and find reason for us to disagree, would we look to the cross of Jesus and remember that every relationship can be brought back together? We can find peace with each other, and under the cross, we are all equals.